The Dershow.
So obviously we saw over the weekend this event where a lot of young conservatives gathered, and there were accusations from Tucker Carlson that the state of Israel was involved. You've been very consistent in saying that is not true.
I know that for a fact for two reasons. One, if Jeffrey Epstein had worked for any intelligence agency, the first thing he would have done is told me that and told his other lawyers that and asked us to go to the government and get a deal, a better deal for him. He didn't like the deal he got, and that didn't happen. And that's number one. Number two, I represented the Mossad. I was their lawyer. Maybe, I don't know, 20 years ago when Cyprus arrested five young Mossad agents, and I pro bono represented them and helped them get out. So without disclosing specifics, I have very good sources in Israel. And I can tell you from my sources, there is zero chance that Jeffrey Epstein ever had any connection with the Mossad. The reason the story has taken on legs, and the reason Tucker Carlson is making these claims, is that Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, may very well have had connections to the Mossad, but not Jeffrey Epstein.
What is with Ghislaine Maxwell? Is there something that she would come out and say? I know that she's been saying, well, I want to be able to talk or testify in front of Congress, and there's been some discussion about that. What are your thoughts there?
I think she should. She knows much more than anybody else. She was the one who arranged flights. Every time I was his lawyer, every time I had to fly down, she would arrange the flight. She would arrange for me to stay in a hotel. She was his basic organizer, and so she would know everything. And so I think she ought to testify in front of Congress and be given immunity. She's in prison right now.
Is she someone that you think could be trusted? I mean, this is, as you said,
maybe she has evidence. I mean, don't trust anybody. Trust but verify. But the point is, does she have documentation or evidence? Does she have travel receipts? Does she have, other things, physical evidence? For example, there were claims that there are sex tapes involving Jeffrey Epstein and the people to whom he lent the women. There are no such sex tapes. There are, however, videotapes that were taken by the police when there was a robbery in Epstein's house, and the Palm Beach police installed a video camera in his public areas in his living room. And there are those videotapes, but I am not aware of any sex tapes at all.
So you've talked about these conspiracy theorists, and that is one of the conspiracies, is that there are hours and hours of videotape that he used as leverage with these important politicians and celebrities. And Pam Bondi, when she first talked about this, she said, I have these videotapes, I'm reviewing them. Now, you just said these were tapes that were in public areas of his home. They weren't in private areas. He wasn't using them as leverage. And there have been other legal experts that have come out and said, I don't know of many criminals that keep a record of their crimes. Can you just, again, verify those videos are not of people engaging in lewd acts?
No, what happened is one of his employees stole some money and stole a licensed gun. And he went to the police, and the Palm Beach police installed a video camera secretly in his living room. I was there. I know exactly where the camera was. And it recorded people. And ultimately, the people who did the theft were caught and fired. But I'm aware of no video cameras installed in any bedrooms or any tapes of anybody or any extortion that was used. This is probably one of the most phantasmological conspiracy theories ever. There's just nothing to these claims. There's enough there in terms of what Jeffrey Epstein did to make the public legitimately interested. But he was not selling people to prominent people. He was not taking videotapes. None of that is true.
It plays on every parent's worst fear. Your daughter gets pulled into this. So I think there's this fantasy around that of, gosh, we've got to expose this. It also brings in high-powered politicians. That just blows up the story. But so my question to you as a legal expert is, why doesn't Attorney General Bondi just come out and say what you're saying right now?
Well, she should, and I think she will. And I think she should also do one more thing. Go to the courts, go to these two federal judges and say, look, there's been all these accusations. Let's clear the air. Let's have transparency. produce everything, produce the names of those accused, but also produce the information about the accusers so that we can make a judgment as to whether the accusations are true or false. Right now, no, there isn't enough information to make that kind of judgment. There's just surmise and speculation. We do have enough to conclude beyond any doubt that he did not work for the CIA, for the Mossad, for the Shin Bet, for any intelligence agencies. That's 100% certain. The rest will become certain when all the information comes out. But I have to tell you, people are going to be very disappointed because I know the names of the people that have been redacted, and they're not names that are familiar to you or anybody else. There are some, but there are people who are now dead or retired, and we don't know whether they're involved or not.
So it's not the smoking gun that people
No.
are saying that it is. Give us a little legal lesson, because I think a lot of people are just expecting that once the Trump administration got into office, that they would start just spewing FBI crime files out to the public. Is there a precedent for that? I mean, has that ever been done before, that you just start releasing files like that?
No, but it should be done. I'd like to see the files of the Robert Kennedy assassination, of the John Kennedy assassination, of Martin Luther King. Time passes and history has its claims. So I understand the need sometimes to suppress material for the moment. But we're talking about events that occurred a half century ago in cases of those assassinations. And in the Epstein case, the events occurred a quarter of a century ago. So I think the time has come for full, complete transparency and disclosure. As far as I'm concerned, I hereby waive any rights of privacy or any rights of confidentiality. If there's anything about me in there, turn it out. I want everybody to see it, because I know that the record will prove that all I did was serve as Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer in a professional way, in the same way that John Adams defended the people who committed the Boston Massacre, and Abraham Lincoln defended people accused of serious crimes. That's what lawyers do. We defend the most seriously accused criminals, and we do it proudly and without any reservations. And I'm 87 years old almost, but I'm going to continue as long as the good Lord gives me energy to represent people accused of crime, even if people don't like it, and that makes me unpopular. That's the job of the lawyer, and it's essential under the Constitution.
I think that's key that you say that, because for people that don't know, there were conspiracy theories about you out there too. And I know you
Sure.
came out and defended yourself. And to me, it's very meaningful to have you say, release it all. I know what's in there, because that should calm a lot of these people down who gets this sensational information.
And in my case, the woman who accused me ultimately admitted publicly in court documents that she may have confused me, misidentified me with somebody else, and she dropped all the suits. So, my name has been completely, totally cleared. I did nothing wrong. I've had sex with nobody other than my wife during the relevant period of time, and so it resulted for me wanting everything out there, because if you have nothing to hide, you want everything out there. Now, there are some people who do have something to hide, and those are people who have gone to court and sought to suppress some of the material, and some of them have succeeded in doing so.